Okay, sounds good. Do you want me to hit broadcast or do you want to?
Go for it.
All right, let's go. And we're live.
All right. Welcome, everybody. We've begun and we're live. It'll take just a second for it to kind of admit everybody in. So we'll just start softly for a moment here, and we're going to have a lot of fun. It looks like the registration is coming in properly, and I think we're ready to go live properly.
Yeah, there you go.
So welcome, everybody. Welcome. Super glad that you're here. I'm going to assume that most of you that are here have an interest in coaching or WildFit in particular. Probably know who I am, but just in case you don't, my name is Eric Edmeades, and I am the founder and creator of WildFit, and it's one of the greatest sort of privileges of my life that I got to create this business. And the reason being is that on a near daily basis, I have the real privilege of people writing to me and telling me about how their life has changed. Just as I was preparing for this broadcast with you, and yet another one came in, and a woman wrote that she registered for our program in the hopes that it would be the last time she would ever spend money on a diet or health type program, because it would finally fix the things that she'd been trying to fix for all these times. And she was writing to tell us that that's absolutely the case for her. And that I believe she said she'd lost, I can't remember now, I just was reading it, but it was in the realm of 17 pounds or 20 pounds or something like that, which was like way past her expectation. And so, sometimes I get comments like that, and sometimes the comments are off the charts. You may have seen the video that I uploaded yesterday about type 2 diabetes reversal and PCOS symptom reversal, just some really, that stuff's big for me. And so I want you to know that the reason that I got involved in doing this, in this work in particular, was that I went through a major health turnaround of my own. I was so regularly unhealthy that I didn't even think of myself as unhealthy. I just thought of myself as me. That's how it was. I was the kid that was always having allergies, or was always having stomach problems, or was always having acne, or whatever it was, I was always having it. And when I changed my relationship with food, I changed my experience of life so dramatically that I became really curious about food and the medical industry and the pharmaceutical industry and health in general. And so when I first created WildFit, it was really just a hobby. It was just wow, I'd had this huge turn on in my life, and I wanted to help other people do it. And one of the things that I recognized was I knew what people should eat more of, and I knew what people should eat less of. I'd done the research, I'd done the reading, I'd done the experimentation. But what I'd found is that somebody could sit with me and ask me, well, Eric, wow, you turned your health around. That's incredible. What should I do? And I would, tell them, what to do. And then they'd be very inspired. And then what would happen? Well, what would happen to them is what happens to most people in the diet industry, is they'd feel very motivated on the day we spoke. But on the next day, it would start becoming a matter of willpower. It'd start becoming difficult for them. And of course, 2 days later, they are back to eating the way they were before, just for now, just for today, just because of this special occasion, just because they had a bad day, or just because they had a good day, or just because their, dog got a cold. There was always some trigger that people would have as a reason for why they were making exceptions, and they were making the exceptions so regularly that the exceptions had become the rule. And so when a bunch of my business clients from businessfreedom.com, they came to me one day and they're like, well, Eric, you travel all over the world. You're in all these different time zones, and you don't seem to do jet lag, and you don't get sick, and you've got all this energy. What's the secret behind this? And so I started sharing my ideas about health and nutrition and self-care with my clients. And it was really annoying to me, because I would give from the depths of my heart and I tell them everything. I would take time out of my business seminar to teach them all this stuff. And then I'd see them 6 months later and they're like, well, hey, how come, what happened? You didn't make that. And so one day I decided to apply all the stuff that I learned about being a speaker, being a coach, being a mentor, and put it into a formulaic process to actually change people's relationship with food. And it worked. I mean, it worked. And I'm talking about it worked. And you probably know this if you're a client, but it worked at a disruptive level. The first class of 8 people, all 8 of them got incredible results. The next class of 8 people, all 8 of them got the incredible results. And so the reason that you're here right now, the reason that I'm now sharing some of the ideas about what we do in our coaching so that you can apply them in your own coaching practice, or so that maybe one day you want to join our team. The reason that I'm able to do this is that one day I was talking with one of my clients, Elizabeth. And Elizabeth came up to me and she goes, Eric, I have a confession for you. Now, this is one of the problems with being the creator of WildFit is I travel all over the world and people walk up to me in airports and then they treat me like, I'm the confessional. They come up and go, oh, Eric, I have a confession for you. And they tell me about something they ate, right? And I'm the food confessional. And of course that misses the point. WildFit is all about freedom. There is nothing to confess. Not ever is there anything to confess. But that's not what she wanted to confess about. What she wanted to confess about was that she had started coaching some of her friends. In particular, there was a woman that she coached. She said the woman was, advanced in her years and was retired and was basically wasting away on the couch watching television and basically waiting for the end of her life to come. And after doing WildFit, she had lost about 20 kilograms and she became the local, chairman of this activity. And she was out doing dancing over here and she was organizing community events over there. And it was like she had an entirely new lease on life. And so this client's confessing to me that she's teaching people, she's coaching people WildFit. And I'm on one side of me, I'm hugely excited by that. It's like, what? You mean this could go out into the world and be like beyond me? It wouldn't have to be about me. But then the other side of it really freaked me out because I'm like, wait a minute now. She's never had any training. There's no documentation. She's just doing it from her memory. And goes, Eric, what did you want me to do? After the changes I went through in my body, my mother saw them and asked me to coach her. It was her mom. And I was so inspired, and she had a couple of others as well. And I was so inspired by her stories that gave birth to our first ever coaching certification, and us then getting on board with teaching people how WildFit works on the inside, even people that aren't on our coaching team, because the food revolution is a huge war and it's not about right or wrong. Quite often you can see the vegans and the meat eaters arguing, and then the alkalinity people arguing with the other. And the fact of the matter is I think we're all on the same side. We all want people to have an increased sense of health. We all want to see a reduced footprint on the environment. We all want to see the food manufacturing industry overhauled so that we have better access to healthy food. It doesn't really matter what the food doctrine is. We all basically agree with that. And so that's why we create something like this that's open so you can learn the best of what it is that we do. Now, I want to introduce you to somebody because a couple of years ago, we were treating this as very much a hobby business. We had about 100 to 150 clients a year, and that was that. And then one day, one of our clients, an author and a speaker in the United States by the name of Paul Sheely, he did our program, and then he told, his network. And all of a sudden, like 200 people signed up in a week. That's a year's worth of clients in a week. And it was like, oh, what's going on here? And then another client did that. And then all of a sudden, a guy by the name of Vishen Lakhiani came along and he goes, I'm going to tell my network. And we're like, whoa, don't do that. The reason we said don't do that is he was the founder of Mind Valley. And we knew that if he told his network, it could just go crazy. We just said, hold off for a minute. Let us build some things. And so then I realized I can't run it like a cottage business. I said, I'm going to find the best of breed agency that I think can help us really refine the business, build the scalability, and prepare us for that kind of growth. And so I went off and I met Andrea, who is here on the call with me. And I went to Andrea and I said, Andrea, I really need some help building the platform, building the systems and so on. And then Andrea quoted me the price for doing that. And I had an allergic reaction. It was, whoa, because it was very much for me. It was like, put the cart before the horse. We haven't got all the, we have to. And so I thought to myself, you know what, I'd rather do this in a bit of a partnership with her. And I thought the only way that's going to happen is if I get her to see the magic of what we do. And so I kind of enticed her into trying WildFit. And like very many of our team, all of our team really, I think, and like many of our partners, once they've gone through the process, it changes things a great deal. And so Andrea did the program, and I'll let her tell you the rest of that. But as a result of doing the program, we've ended up joining forces. And over the last 2 years, we've really taken WildFit to an entirely different level. We've taken our coaching certification to an entirely different level, and a huge amount of our debt for that, or huge amount of our gratitude for that is owed to Andrea. So Andrea, please say hello to everybody.
Thank you, Eric, very much. Hello, everybody. And yes, I am a huge WildFit convert, I would say. Eric and I knew each other from working in the same industry and being around the same people, and had spent some time together. And the one thing I noticed about Eric was that he was always very comfortable around food. It didn't matter where we were, what other people were eating. Eric had this real sense of freedom and comfortableness around food. And while I, at the time, ate pretty healthy, like I wasn't a super unhealthy eater, I wasn't really overweight or anything, I struggled a lot to choose the healthy food over like the cake and the cupcakes and other things that, you know, kind of looked more enticing, but I knew I should eat them, which is what intrigued me a little bit about WildFit and encouraged me to sign up to do the program, because I thought, man, if I could have that freedom, that would be enough. And then after 2 weeks of the program, which if any of you have done WildFit, most of you probably have, you know that like there's so much power in that first 2 weeks. Within 2 weeks, I thought, man, they are onto something. Like whatever this is, it is going to change the way people do food and the way that they react to, you know, being around food in general. And that is how I became converted to WildFit. I do run an agency. So, you know, I typically only work with projects where I really enjoy both the people that I work with and the ideas, but WildFit by far is my favorite. And then the coaching certification, which we're going to talk about today, is maybe even more of a favorite to me than WildFit, the program, because it's how we're going to reach a lot more people. A few weeks ago, I was running a mastermind, and one of the coaches said, we were just sharing stories, and she said, oh, I had a client who had cancer, and my client was told her cancer would never go into remission, and that she would always have cancer, and it didn't matter, she would always have it. And 90 days into WildFit, she went back for her routine 30-day check-in for her cancer, and her cancer was in remission, and the doctor didn't know why, but the only thing she had changed was WildFit. So, you know, I'm running this mastermind call, and I said to the coach, oh, wow, that's really great. You know, and we moved on. And it wasn't until a few hours later when I said to Eric, oh, hey, by the way, you know, this coach had this client, and the client no longer has the cancer's now in remission. And then I kind of paused and I thought, oh man, we hear those things so often every day that they almost become commonplace, which is really quite ridiculous when I think about it. I'm like, oh my goodness. So we hear what people hear from when they get coached by Eric, but when there's other coaches doing that coaching, we get so much more impact on so many more people. So it's one of my favorite things about being involved with WildFit at all. So I'll answer any questions today and help out along the way.
Great to have you, Andrea. Really, really great. And by the way, you know, from the time that very shortly after Andrea agreed to come on board and help us with this, Vishen did go out and tell his network about it. And the equivalent of 10 years worth of clients signed up in about 2 weeks. And it just changed everything. And it's just been going crazy ever since. And so it's been, I'm really glad that we came together in a partnership, because funny thing about a business like this is that when it explodes like this on its own, if you don't build systems, if you don't build procedures, it's dangerous to grow that fast. And so it's really, we did it in the right order. And I want to share something else with you that really underscores for me what a great job we're doing. And that is that I was sitting having lunch in one of my favorite little vegan restaurants in London, England. It's called the Wild Food Cafe. The owner is a friend of mine. We arrived at our names independently. And so I was at his cafe a couple of months ago. And as soon as I walked in, he's like, oh my God, I'm so glad you're here. And he started texting people and other, you know, so a bunch of people converged, and we had just a spontaneous little mastermind right there at the Wild Food Cafe. And I was sitting there with a chiropractor, David Thunder, and David and I are talking about stuff and you know, about food and inflammation and all that kind of stuff. And then all of a sudden he goes, hey, by the way, have you heard about this WildFit company? And I was like, yeah, I may have heard something about that. And it was a cute moment because of course I let him in on the fact that I was the founder of it. But the reason he brought it up with me is that he started talking to me about two of his clients that he was doing adjustments on and working with. And he had noticed that over a couple of month period, their inflammation had reduced so dramatically that it took him half the time to do the adjustments on them, and that their health had improved. So, and so that's what had got him curious about WildFit, because he asked them about it. And so, you know, I really love the global reach that we've been able to attain. And it's really been exciting. So here's what we're going to be doing today. And there's a couple things. how many of you would like your own? I'd like to see this in the chat, by the way. Some of you asked if this was live. Tim, I think it was, asked if this is live. Yes, this is live. And so here's my question for you live. How many people, oh, look, there's a few people that would like a water bottle. So we will be giving a few away. And so stick with us because we'll be peppering that out. You'll find out at the end how to make that happen. But we will be giving some of those away. And then also, we're going to be sharing with you some really powerful things that I think you're going to get a lot of value from here if you are at all involved in human potential. If you're doing any kind of coaching, any kind of peak performance work, if you're working with people on psychology, I think you're going to learn some really interesting things that are going to be of tremendous value to you. So you are absolutely in the right place if you are either currently in a sort of a coaching career and you're wanting to expand on it, you're wanting to have more tools in your toolbox. You're also in the right place if you've come to a place where you're kind of maybe in a job that doesn't really light your fire, that you're not really all that passionate about, and you're looking for something new. And I think that the things that we're going to show you here, whether you do this with us as a WildFit coach or just generally apply these things in your own practice, can really give you some great ideas about how to emancipate yourself. Let me just say this. I really believe that life is too short to spend 8 hours a day doing something that does not pay you emotional dividends. I don't know how else to put that. So if you're looking for more emotional dividends in a day, then you're in the right place. If you've contemplated getting involved in coaching and you haven't really known where to start, or you kind of didn't know where to go, you're definitely in the right place. If you have a passion for food, like I saw this funny debate on Facebook the other day. They said, oh, people, they call themselves foodies as like an excuse for eating a bunch of junk food. And I'm like, well, I look at it and go, yeah, I'm a foodie too. I'm a health foodie. Which kind of foodie are you? So I quite like healthy, yummy food. How about you? And so if you have a passion for food, if you have a passion for personal growth, this is definitely the place for you. If, as I said before, if you're interested in having a career that pays you emotional dividends as well as giving you a return on investment financially, nothing could be more rewarding. I cannot tell you what it is like for me every morning to wake up to the messages of people who have reversed their type 2 diabetes, who, as Andrea mentioned, their cancer is now in remission, their inflammation is gone, the arthritis in their fingers is gone, they got pregnant after years of trying, and suddenly now they've got their whole system working. Boom, they've got their pregnancy, they got their sex drive back. You have no idea how much that's worth to somebody. In fact, nobody has any idea how much any of those things are worth to them until they've lost them. And so for us to get those messages from people is a dividend far bigger than any salary. If you get off on helping people, not everybody's like that. I'm one of those. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the coming from a broken home, or, they always say the children of divorced kids or divorced parents or the children of alcoholics have a need to fix things all the time. I don't know if you have a need to fix and help people, I don't know where you got it from, but definitely this is a fun and inspiring way to satisfy that need. And of course, if you are a WildFitter, if you've been through the program, you know how well this works. I'll tell you our biggest problem from a marketing perspective. I'm telling you, our biggest problem from a marketing perspective is that when we tell people how well it works, it sounds like I needed a word that I can use on broadcast. It sounds like hyperbole. It's so compelling that they don't really understand. And of course, if you're a WildFit coach or a WildFit client, you already know that. And so now we can unlock how it is that we achieve that. And so you're definitely in the right place. So let's jump into how this masterclass is going to work. We're going to be on roughly for about an hour. We may go a little over for Q&A. If you guys have lots of questions you want to ask, we built in a little extra time. The official time is about an hour, but we may build in a little extra Q&A if that's what you guys want. If you've got questions that you want to ask, all you have to do is type them into the chat, and we've got a team. This is fully live, and there's a team in the production office that's taking a look at your questions and feeding them to us so that we can get to them. We might not get to them until the end because we really just want to keep the flow of what we're here to share with you and then do the Q&A afterward. There's also a private Facebook group for everybody that's in here, so you can meet the other like-minded people that have joined you on this webinar, and you can kind of get to know them and so on. We like to make sure that our community gets connected. A big part of what makes WildFit so successful is community. You've probably heard the expression that your wealth is going to be the average of the 6 closest friends that you spend the most time with. Well, I would put to you that that is true of your health. It's true of your relationships. It's true of pretty much everything. And so whenever we put a group like this together, it's almost like a filter, right? You didn't respond to this unless you're a person who likes to give, unless you're a person that's interested in health, unless you're a person that has a passion, et cetera, et cetera. So join the Facebook group and meet a bunch of people that you probably would like to spend more time with. We also have sent you the Masterclass worksheet, which I'm going to recommend that if you've not already done this, that you print it out. You can go, if you can do it right now, but make sure you've got it with you. You're going to want that because we're going to be following the structure of that. And what we want is for this not to be some theoretical thing. Again, any of you have been to any of my live trainings or any of my business trainings, you'll know I'm all about practicality. I'm all about nuts and bolts that actually move you from point A to point B. This is not theoretical. And so the worksheet could be helpful for you so that you leave with an asset. You've got your thoughts collected in one place. Let's see here. The other thing that I would suggest to you about that is that as you're going through the workshop, if you have a big aha, you know what? Share it. And let me give you some ideas about why I say this to you. One of the ways to learn really powerfully is to learn as though you're going to teach to somebody else. It's something about the human memory that when you learn something with the intention of teaching it, it stores more deeply in your subconscious, and it makes you understand the information better. So what I'd like you to do as we move into this is I'd like you to think about how would you teach what I'm going to share with you to other people. It's not a secret. It's not we didn't make you sign some NDA that says, oh, Eric will give you all these secrets, but you must keep them a secret. No, I want you to share them. And so here's a couple ways I suggest you share them. One, on your worksheet with yourself, just write them down. Here's the other one, in the chat. If you have a breakthrough about something, you go, wow. Like for example, you go, wow, that makes sense to me. If I learn as though I'm going to teach, I'm going to learn it better. And if that kind of hits you, then write it in the chat because it might trigger somebody who hadn't seen the significance of it in the moment. So you're helping the community. But the other thing is, if something really profound happens here and you think it's great, go out and share it online. Go out and share it online and say, hey, here's something I learned today. Be great if you give us a little hashtag love with it as well. But the point is that when you're learning, if you learn knowing you're going to share, you'll learn it more deeply. And then of course, make sure you stick around because we've got some bottles and stuff to give away at the very end of this. Some of the things that you're going to, some of the things that we're going to cover on this workshop are, there are some things that you might not know about the coaching industry. And we're going to share some really powerful things with you about the coaching industry that I think are going to light a fire. Like you'd be surprised at some of the stuff that we've turned up with research. We're also going to show you some of the sort of common misconceptions, beliefs, and assumptions that people make that actually hold them back a great deal in the coaching practice and keep them frustrated instead of in flow. And we're going to show you how to unlock that stuff. We're also going to share with you 3 ultra fast ways to get your coaching business kind of on track and launched, whether it's as a WildFit coach or whether it's your existing coaching business or whether you want to start another one. We're going to share some strategies about how to get started. And also we're going to share with you some success stories of some of our coaches that have done really well, because again, some of the things they did might be particularly applicable to you. So let's jump in. The coaching industry is fascinating, and it's fascinating because it violates a sort of basic law of nature. And it's a very tricky thing. You might have seen the video I uploaded on Facebook yesterday, but I talked about consciousness that I went through over the last couple of years. And that was that, why do I feel so compelled to write and blog and coach and run programs to help people when they should just be really having their own journey? Like, what's that all about? And I'll never the old metaphor of the butterfly, right? If you help the butterfly out of the cocoon, it never flies. It'll die because it's getting out of the cocoon that lets its wings get stronger. It needs that process. And so there was a part of me that was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Am I interfering? Am I interfering, helping people get out of the cocoon? And then I suddenly realized, something that's such a beautiful metaphor, but we're not butterflies. We're Homo sapiens, and Homo sapiens have consciousness. And with consciousness, we can reach out our hand and say, help, please. And I think the butterfly metaphor is useful for parents. I think they do need to remember sometimes to let their kids try and let their kids fail and let their kids learn. But there comes a point when your child reaches out and says, okay, I need help with this, that you should help them. We're not butterflies, we're sapiens. And so the coaching industry is really fascinating because the human race woken up to the reality that they don't have to repeat the same mistakes as ever before, that they can learn from other people, can drive them and other people can drive them and help them take shortcuts that otherwise they may have taken years to discover. So we're talking about an almost $10 billion industry that didn't even exist 30 years ago. It's a massive and fast growing industry. And here's the crazy thing. Wellness coaching used to be one of the hardest things ever because frankly, the way people were living their life is they were quite happy to spend their health creating wealth. Isn't it true? They were willing to work really hard. They were willing to sacrifice their time. They didn't have time to go to the gym. They wanted a quick food convenience, whatever. They were spending their health in order to generate wealth. And then they end up spending all their wealth trying to buy back their health. And it does not work that way. In a million areas of life, an ounce of prevention is worth a ton of cure, but that is never more appropriate than in health. Well, here's what's crazy. As of 2016, 2 years ago, Twine Health did a survey and found that 60% of Americans were looking for wellness coaching. They were looking for the resource. They were trying to find this out. And by the way, don't make the mistake of thinking they could go to their doctor for that. Now, there are many big-hearted, generous doctors that want to help people with their wellness, but I want to point out to you that in 6 or 8 years of medical school, a doctor will spend no time studying food unless they took elective courses. And so wellness coaching is a different thing than a doctor who's really here to help you fix once things have gone wrong. In our medical industry, and most of us in the Western world, doctor is there for once things have gone wrong. But as of 2016, 60% of people were wanting a wellness coach to prevent wrong. This is good. And then what was crazy is that 8% of Americans, and I'm only using American stats because I'm going to assume this is very much the same around the world, 80% of Americans hadn't ever been offered health coaching. So get this, 60% of them want it, and 80% of them have never even been offered it. That speaks of an opportunity. And then here's another really interesting trend that's taken place recently. 82% of people prefer digital or phone coaching for convenience rather than having to go face-to-face, rather than having to work with people, which the crazy thing about that is we were at the beginning of a trend 5 years ago when we started this whole thing and created WildFit as a digital-based coaching system. We did that not because we knew what consumers wanted. We did it because I lived in the Caribbean and didn't want to travel around the world all the time having to go. I did it for my own convenience. But as it turned out, we tapped into a trend. And that's why we now have literally thousands and thousands of clients in over 20 countries around the world, because people are moving toward this online and digital coaching model rather than needing to work with somebody face-to-face. And here's one more really kind of fascinating thing to consider about this, is that when people are asked what it is that they would like to get from wellness coaching, you might think that they want to get weight loss or that they want to get this or that. And those things are on the list. But the top reason, the top thing that people are looking for is to simply, quote, feel better. And I can't think of a better cause. So that's some coaching industry statistics that I want you to give some thought to. And then now you've got your handout. And so what I would love to hear from you, and I would love you to put this on your form, but I'd also like for some of you to pop this into the chat, because I'd like to hear what your guys' answers are about this, is what is your personal definition of being a coach? What I'm looking for from you is, what is your personal definition for being a coach? And what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to put that on your worksheet. And then I also love for you to pop some of your answers over into the chat. And Andrea, can we give them about kind of 60 seconds, 90 seconds to make that happen? Let's go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead and put your answers into the chat.
Those are some great answers.
Eric, do you want to read a few of the answers out for people who don't have access?
Yeah, there's some really, really beautiful things in here. So a coach is a partner for transformation. I think that's really beautiful. I think that's a very, very, that's a nice way of putting it. Someone driven, help others to learn and improve in an area of their lives. My personal definition of a coach is someone who works closely with people to help them achieve their goals and optimal health. Someone who supports a client according to their needs, but with the goal clearly in mind. Wow, there's so many great ones in here. These are really excellent, you guys. Helping people to realize and achieve their goals and potential. Simply a guide and a helper. That's really great. Let's see, someone that knows how to empathize. Oh, I lost it. The screen, they're moving along so quickly. I lost that one. Oh, someone who knows how to empathize, but also to steer you around your roadblocks. Yeah, I think so. And so I want to kind of add for you one of the thoughts that I have about that. And that is that I think that one of the great things that a coach does is not only many of the things you guys have written here, but I think that a coach is also there to help you see your blind spots and to hold you accountable to your greater consciousness. Come on. Haven't you ever been in a situation where in one frame of consciousness, you've wanted to make some changes, but then in a later frame of consciousness, those changes don't seem so important? I'll give you the most crazy example. Perhaps you know somebody, probably not you personally, but perhaps you know somebody who at one point, maybe when they were much younger, drank a little too much alcohol, and then they found themselves leaning over the porcelain altar, you know, the one, and maybe they were sick. And in that consciousness, they thought, I really probably don't ever want to drink again, or I definitely want to drink a whole lot less, or something like that, right? In that moment of consciousness. But in their moment of consciousness, the next Friday night, what were they doing? Drinking again. And so, by the way, I had a weird situation where that happened to me in 1991. And I said I was so sick, and I was the one person who made the pledge to God. I said, if you could just help me to feel a little bit better, I will never drink again. And no kidding, I never did. I was that one person who kept the promise. But the fact is that a coach is there to help you tap back into the higher consciousness that made you set the right goal in the first place, that made you commit to an action in the first place. All right. So the next part of the worksheet here is, and by the way, the reason we're going through this is because the clearer you are on what being a coach means to you, and the clearer you are about your sort of objectives, the easier it is to overcome the challenges that come up later. I'll give you an example. When you may be aware that I've climbed Kilimanjaro a whole bunch of times. And I can tell you that if you don't have a really clear reason for wanting to be at the top of that mountain, there are going to be a lot of challenges that come along that are simply going to be too big for you to overcome. But if you have a burning desire to get to the top, then those challenges are just things for you to climb over. And so that's why we run through this psychology bit first to kind of help you to get clear. Incidentally, there's a clue in this as a coach. You know, a lot of times people need to get clear on what's on the other side of the breakthrough, right? The more clear they are of what life would be like on the other side of the breakthrough, the easier it is for them to have the breakthrough. So the next exercise here for you to do is, what are 3 things you believe that you need to start a coaching business, or if you've already got one, that you need to take your coaching business to the next level? I'm going to give you guys another minute and a half to get that done. Equally, go ahead and put some of these answers in the chat. That's really helpful. It stimulates the thought for other people, and it's great research for us as well. I'll give you a little music to work by.
Eric, do you want to read some of them out that are in the chat?
Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. I might have gotten carried away with the music. It's so beautiful. All right. So here are some of the things. Better plan time. tech support and finances. Yeah, Anne, I'm with you. That makes complete sense. Helen has gone after a more of a psychological side of it, is like empathy, understanding, and leadership. Boy, Helen, I really like that answer a lot. Empathy is, empathy is a really powerful thing, because I'll tell you something. The more you have an empathetic response to your clients' breakthroughs, the greater emotional payoff you have with their breakthroughs, and the more motivation you have to help them get there. And then the other thing is, Helen, I love what you say about leadership, because I'll tell you one of my tools of leadership. The reason I've climbed Kilimanjaro so many times is I used to run it as a leadership training program. I would take people up the mountain and run it as a leadership and team building exercise. And so I've given quite a lot of thoughts to leadership. And here's my most profound thing I can tell you about leadership. Before you can lead others, you must first get good at leading yourself. And that is never more true than with a coach. So Helen, great stuff. Really good. A passion for your subject. Amber, really, really true. I cannot imagine, like, I don't have a significant passion for, say, options trading. So I'd probably make a pretty lousy options trading coach. I can tell you that right now. Now, that what's crazy about that is I might make a really good peak performance coach for somebody doing options trading, but that's because I'd be passionate about their results, passionate about their peak performance. So having a understanding where your passion lies relative to the coaching client, that's a really, really good point. Let's see, what else is there? A desire to help others, look and feel fantastic, and a willingness to do everything you can to make it happen. Amber, you are dead on. I'm going to try a little experiment. I don't even know who all is on with us, and I know some of you are watching this on recording, but in case there are some of my clients, like people that have been to my business trainings, I have a question I want to ask you. If you don't know the answer to this, then don't write. But if you do know the answer, I would like to see it in the chat. If you've been to one of my live workshops, if you've been to our speaking academy, or you've been to our business freedom training or something like that, am I nice? I'd like to see if, I don't know if we have clients on here, but I'd love to see people's response to this. Am I nice? So we've got our first no, we have another no, we have another no. And thank you guys, you can stop now. So the reason, for those of you who don't understand, the reason that they're saying this is that I believe that in order to be really nice to somebody, you have to be willing to be not nice in a given moment. And so that means that as a coach, to Amber's point, you have to be willing to do what it takes to get somebody to breakthrough. And so that means that you need to be willing to say the thing that might make them cry. You need to be able to say the thing that's going to see the world the way they need to see it for them to make the change. So Amber, that is a really, really, really key point. Let's see here. To know how to start, confidence in my knowledge and finances. Those are big things. Confidence is a big, big part of it. I'll tell you that one of the things that we built into our coaching certification in order to really help our coaches have a sense of confidence is that our coaches are really not having to do the education part of things. They're having to do the coaching part of it. And that saves them having to have the degree level specification, degree level specialization in nutrition and evolutionary biology and what have you, they probably would need to have to really be able to educate this stuff well. And so that gives them a lot of confidence, because what they're now working with is the psychology using the coaching tools that we shared with them. So that's a really, really good point as well. So good stuff, guys, really excellent. All right. So here's what we've bumped into when we've been working with people that have been curious about becoming a coach or what have you. And then, we poll them after and go, hey, what held you back? Cause sometimes we'll run a webinar and people will go, gosh, I'd really like to become a coach. And we go, okay, but why didn't you in the end? I'm curious. How did we not support you in making this step forward that you really wanted to make? And here are the common answers. They feel like they need to have a business degree. I'm amazed the number of people, they feel like they really need to have a business degree in order to okay, if you know me at all, and if you don't know me, let me just be clear with you that my first business I started in my garage in England in 1997. I sold it 6 or 9 years later. And then I bought my next company, and then I started a few more companies. I've had companies in such a variety of industries in 4 different countries. Let me tell you what I don't have: a business degree. I don't have an MBA. And I'm kind of grateful for it, because the clue's in the name. An MBA, for example, is a Master of Business Administration. And if somebody teaches you how to administer your business, guess what you're going to spend the next 20 years doing? Administering your business. What I think you want to do is build a practice that allows you to spend your time doing what you love. You don't need a business degree. What you need is a passion and a construct and the support to help you build what it is that you want to build. Then the other issue here is that people go, I need to be an expert. No, a mentor needs to be an expert. This is the difference between a coach and a mentor, in my opinion. A mentor does need to be an expert. A mentor is somebody who's traveled the road ahead of you. It's somebody who's done what you want to do, and they've created the results that you want to create, and they've had the experience that they've got the knowledge that you need to have to go forward. A coach is about your psychology, your accountability, and your action taking. For example, any one of you told me suddenly that you wanted to, go out and, and become a professional athlete in some area. I don't need to know how to play tennis to help you to become a better tennis player. I don't need, if you're playing polo and you want to become a better polo player, I don't need to know polo in order to help you become a better polo player in your head. There are things that are about psychology, about personal leadership. And so you don't need to be an expert. That said, if you're going to go into the health space, you either need to be an expert or you need to align with one. And what I mean by that is, like, for example, the way we've set our program up is that we have like years and years of research and years of Q&As and, hundreds of recipes compiled and all this kind of stuff so that you don't have to do that. And so that's a really, whether you're doing this on your own or whether you're doing this with us, you need to remember that if you're going to work with food, you need to have a level of expertise, or you need to have access to that expertise, so that when a question gets answered, by the way, you don't need to know the answer to every question. In fact, I will tell you that many times your clients will feel like you are even more credible when you say 3 words. I don't know. As long as you follow up those 3 words with, but I'm going to find out for you. And then you do. And so you don't need to necessarily be an expert, but you need to have access to the expertise. Here's another one. People go, well, Eric, I really did want to become a coach. I thought it was going to be really cool, but, I feel like I need to be like super slim and ultra fit. Let me tell you right now, that is not the case. I'll tell you that one of the reasons that I'm really not the best face of WildFit is that I don't have before and after pictures of my transformation. And I'm not an ongoing case study. I arrived at these conclusions 20 years ago. I will tell you that some of our coaches that have done the very best are the ones that are still on the journey because they can relate. They're relatable with the clients. And so many clients, and by the way, I'm curious, how many of you would feel more comfortable with a coach that was on the same journey with you, that maybe they've taken off 10 or 20 pounds and they've got another 10 or 20 to lose and they're working on it actively? How many of you would feel less intimidated about working with that coach than you would working with some buff beach body, right? So please don't let that be what gets in the way. And then here's a double bonus about that. Here's a double bonus about it. Nothing will help you to maintain your health better than coaching other people to maintain theirs. It's a magic thing about being a health coach. Whether you do it with WildFit or you do it on your own, it is magic, because there's something about congruency, the desire to be your word, that when you're talking to people, well, this is not really an ideal food and that's not the weirdest thing is it causes you to live your word. So please don't think that you have to be a finished product to become a great coach. Not at all. In fact, I do a lot of business coaching, as many of you will know. I'm not a finished product in business. Andrew will tell you right now, I am brilliant at some things and I am learning at others. That doesn't take away from my ability to be a phenomenal business coach. So I really want you to get that. You don't need to be a finished product. You need to be a constantly improving product all the time. Then the other one is a lot of people feel like they don't want to start their own coaching practice. This isn't so much even about our program. It's that people want to start one, but they're afraid because they feel like they have to do it alone. And I want to tell you, I have to do it alone thing, let me tell you where that comes from. How many of you have that, by the way? I kind of do it myself. I got to hold on. I got to take care of this. I don't really have the money. I don't want to take the risk. How many of you have the tendency to kind of hold on and control it and do it your own a little? I'm curious, because I'm going to tell you where it comes from. It comes from spending 12 years in a school system that punished collaboration and called it cheating. See, yeah, they did do school projects together and made people work together, but 90% of the time when you were in school, if you had a homework assignment, if you had a project to do, then you got punished for working with somebody else. And so that set up in a lot of people an unhealthy independence streak. And so no, you don't have to do it alone. And then of course, you know, a lot of people are held back because they go, well, I just, you know, I'm going to need a lot of startup money. I'm going to tell you right now, that is not necessarily true. Look, if you want to build what we've built, yeah, you're going to need a bunch of money. I can tell you, we've probably invested more than $500,000 into building WildFit. Like, we've invested a huge amount of money. Andrew, am I overstating that at all? I mean, I'm probably understating that, if anything, over the last 3 years.
Yeah, that's what that's about what people can invest in, you know, building this kind of a business often.
Yeah. So, but remember, guys, what we were doing from the beginning was building a brand that could explode around the world. That was the intention of it. And so we did need a lot of capital, and we needed to be able to invest. And fortunately, I was lucky. I had capital to be able to do that with. But I can tell you, there's a few ways to not need that capital. And one of the ways is, don't try to build everything from scratch yourself. You know, find somebody that you can align with. You know, we have, there's our coaching certification, there's integrative nutrition, you know, there's Bulletproof. They have a certificate. Go and find a system that you really, really believe in, and then align with that system. And then you can pay a much smaller amount of money and get access to hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars of R&D and investment. And you didn't need to put that money up. So don't let that hold you back. What you do need to move forward, what you do need to get yourself happening, is you got to have passion and a degree of perseverance. My mentor and close personal friend before he passed away was Chet Holmes. And he said, yeah, you need a PhD if you're going to be successful. And when I first heard that, I thought, oh, well, may as well go home now. And he goes, but a PhD isn't what you think it is. A PhD is pig-headed determination. PhD. And you know what? He's right. Passion and perseverance is really key, because you know what? It's not going to be easy every single day. It just isn't. I can tell you, even for me, I have a fabulous team around. I have thousands of clients around the world. I get letters all the time. I still have days that it isn't completely easy all the time. And so if I didn't have a significant passion for improving the lives of millions of people around the world, those challenges could become obstacles or even blockages. And so you got to have that passion and perseverance. By the way, one of the ways that you keep that passion and perseverance is you align yourself with people that have that passion and perseverance as well. You know, if you try and go out and start a coaching practice all by yourself, it's really tough to hold on to that passion and perseverance sometimes. But when you've got a whole community around you, I'll give you a real example. For those of you who are clients and you've been through week 6, 7, and 8 of the program, you'll know that that week can be a little challenging. Here's what our coaches will tell you. It's even more challenging for the coach, because it's in those weeks that people start to rebel. They're struggling. The spring is difficult for about 10 or 20% of them, and they're really having a hard time. And the coaches sometimes, like, you'll see them writing and going, I've got this client who's like really angry and they can't seem to, and they're not having it, and the flip isn't switching, and blah, blah, blah. And then other coaches jump in and go, hang on, trust the process, because community can help you maintain that perseverance. So it's really important to create that around yourself. Another big thing that you need to succeed in this industry, in the industry of personal development, human development, coaching, is you got to have a desire to continue to learn and grow. The number of people I feel like in this industry that they feel like they've arrived, I will not hire a coach that doesn't have a coach. I will not work with a business mentor that doesn't have a business mentor. And that's because I'm a permanent student myself. You know, one of the greatest compliments I ever got was from my wife, and it was because she traveled around the world with me as a speaker for years and years and was my primary speaker coach. If any of you have ever thought that I'm pretty good at telling stories and stuff, she has been one of my biggest coaches in this area. And then she had a baby and couldn't travel with me all the time. And so she didn't get to see me do any speaking. And about 2 years went by, and finally she came out, and we went to Estonia. We spent an entire month in Estonia, and I had to do a bunch of talks while I was there. And she saw me speak for the first time in 2 years. And she walked up to me and she says, Eric, I don't know how you do it. She says, listen, I'm your wife. I'm not here to blow smoke. You know, I'll tell you when I feel like things need to be improved. And I go, yeah, a little too easily sometimes. And she's like, well, that's what you want, is a little honesty. She goes, but I'll tell you something. I'm so proud of you, because you are so much better now than you were 2 years ago. I don't ever stop. And I think that's something you really want to hold on to for yourself, is a continual feeling of learning and growth. The ability to see obstacles as opportunities is a big deal. You've got to make sure you've got that. That stuff will really push you through to have your perseverance. All right. So here's some tips for how you launch quickly, right? Instead of going out and making a bunch of unoriginal mistakes, the first thing I want you to understand is I don't believe there are any mistakes unless you repeat them. If you experiment and you do something and it didn't work, it wasn't a mistake, but the second time you do it, now it's a mistake, right? And so we've made a lot of those mistakes for you, and we're going to avoid that. And we're going to give you some of the ways that you can kind of give yourself a quick launch. And one is to use what we call lunch and learn workshops. And so what this means is that very often there are companies out there that are looking for in-house training, and they're looking for a way to add value for their clients or for their employees. And so they are open to doing lunch and learn workshops. And so one of the ways you can launch your coaching career, whether you're in health, whether you're in peak performance, doesn't really matter what the coaching area is, you can approach HR companies, HR departments from companies and say, hey, I'm willing to come in and host a lunch and learn. And here's what your clients are going to get. Here's the value. And bear in mind, this is really important. Here's what the company is going to get as a result of what I do for the clients. And then all of a sudden, boom, you have the opportunity. You could probably sell lunch and learns like that, but initially you might want to just start by giving them away for free. You just go, hi, I'm doing a bunch of lunch and learns to launch this thing. And all of a sudden you've opened the door to a potential corporate client and to a bunch of direct consumer clients. Wellness is a big area for that, by the way, because particularly in the Western world right now, employers are starting to run into how expensive healthcare is. And so they're really looking for increasing performance, cutting down on sick days, and reducing their healthcare costs. And so a lunch and learn to help people drive their, help people drive their improvements in that area could be really big. Another one is one-on-one discovery calls and coaching. This is a really important thing, and it falls on a basic principle, and that is that sometimes in order to be a good coach, you need to be able to prove yourself. I always say this: if I want to work with somebody who's a consultant or a mentor or coach to work with me, my view is that if I can have lunch with them and I don't feel that lunch was worth more than the first month of billing they want to send me, then I don't necessarily want to hire them, because I need to see their expertise. I need to understand their authority. And so offering like these sort of discovery calls with your clients where you can really dig in and find out what's going on, give them some value and help them identify their challenges, it can create all kinds of great opportunities for you to create new clients. Learn what their goals are. This is really important. You know, whether you're in sales or marketing or psychotherapy, listen more than you speak. Listen more than you speak. Understanding their goals is going to help you to really hear what it is that they need to make a change. Another thing for our coaches, if you ever join our team, is sharing the WildFit 90-day group challenge with their coaching, with their client community. It can be a really fabulous way to get launched, because guess what? We've built it all already. You know, there's a product, it's there, all the communication is handled, all the documentation is handled, all the client support is handled, all the help desk stuff is handled. And so it creates this opportunity where all you have to do is make magic happen, because we've done all the rest for you. Another one is, okay, I see what's going on. Number 3 here is building on that idea of a done for you type thing, is that what we've done for our coaches is, and this applies whether you're not currently a coach and want to launch a coaching practice, or if you are currently doing coaching and you want to expand your practice. In fact, we have a number of doctors that have become WildFit coaches so that they can add the WildFit challenge to their medical practice, so that they can now work in the prevention side of things. And so why that works is that if they had to build all this stuff from scratch, it would probably get in the way, right? It'd be a lot of work, a lot of investment, a lot of challenge. So WildFit is effectively a done for you process where, you know, people come into the program, they go through the program, even if you didn't coach them, even if you just introduced them to the WildFit challenge, even if they did it without you, at the end, what you now have is this incredibly loyal client who now wants to know more about how to rotate through the seasons and what kind of meals they can cook and what more about food and so on. And so what we've done is created this circumstance where you've got this like done for you program, done for you product that makes it really easy for you to launch and go ahead and move forward easily. Let's see. Another one there's another 2 things here that we've looked at that works really well in WildFit and in other types of coaching. And that is that you take a graduating class and invite those people over and say, hey, you know what? Come on over and let's have a like celebration dinner. We're going to have yummy food and all that kind of stuff. And do me a favor. if you've got any friends that have been curious about your transformation, because that's like the biggest way we grow, right? People look at it and go, wow, what happened to you? I'll have what you're having. Well, you know what? Let them have what you're having. And then you invite them to bring their friends. And then you get to show them yummy food, and you get to talk a little bit about WildFit. And the next thing you know, you've got a bunch of people joining your practice. And you can do this not just with WildFit coaching. You can do that same model with all kinds of different coaching programs. So here's a couple of, and I've kind of started into that, is a couple of the way that our coaches are generating leads and are building their coaching practices. One is the WildFit themed kind of dinner parties. Like I said, you get your successful clients over, cook yummy food, maybe potluck it, get them to, and then they bring their friends, and this is awesome. And then one of the other things is developing, and again, this is, you can use this for a WildFit coaching practice or your own coaching practice, is developing little mini programs to introduce people to how effective you are. We have like 7-day sugar challenges and that sort of stuff. So little mini programs that really entice people to go, oh, wow, that really works. And then that proves to them that they want to have a deeper relationship with you. Running meetups. Here's another great one. A lot of times the coaching business is built or predicated on the idea of one-on-one coaching. Guys, I'll tell you, in business, that's great. I still don't think it's best. I'll give you an example. If you wanted to hire me as a business coach, it's prohibitively expensive. And I haven't taken on a private business client in 2 years. I just don't say yes to that very often. It's very, very rarely that I do that. Here's what's really amazing though, is I do group business coaching, and it's a fraction of the cost of hiring me personally. That means that I'm able to reach a lot more people at a much higher profit margin and bring the cost down for the clients. That is nowhere more effective than it is in health. And so one of the ways that WildFit has been so successful is, rather than trying to sell one-on-one coaching, or as well as trying to sell one-on-one coaching with clients, we do group coaching, which means that you can spread the cost out through a number of clients and have a very nice profit margin on the overall coaching class. And then of course, another way that our clients have been doing well is creating their own custom packages. We do not dictate to you how you sell the program, how you bundle it, what you package it with. And so, I was talking to one of our coaches recently that has a personal coaching business of their own, and they don't even sell WildFit. What they do is they sell a 12-month life transformation process, and they've just included WildFit in that, right? And so there's a number of different ways to package WildFit or package your coaching program into something bigger to help you generate more leads and create more income.
Eric, next we have a few testimonials from, or just a few of our coaches that you can tell some of their stories and how they ended up, being coaches and some successes they've had.
Yeah, well, Amanda, I was just actually talking to Amanda about an hour ago, or a couple of hours ago, because she is second chair with me on a private coaching group that I'm doing at the moment. And because I wanted to prepare for the webinar with you guys, I wanted to, and by the way, this class is I don't really take on small private groups. Most of you will have seen me coaching a group of 800 plus people at a time. And I don't even really do that much anymore. In this case, I've got a very private VIP group of people going through the program, and I've got Amanda as my second chair. And she has done so well with us that I am honored to have her as my second chair on these. And so I wrote to her and I said, listen, can you take the class? Like I really want to prep for this webinar. And she wrote back immediately. She goes, yeah, this person's handle over here and this one. And no kidding, as I'm writing that to her, I see a comment from one of the clients in the class, a woman who happens to be a really dear friend of mine. And she came to the program with a weight loss goal. And she didn't have a lot of weight to lose. I think she said she wanted to lose between 5 to 7 pounds, and she had dropped 8. And she goes, well, and now that I've arrived at 8, I think maybe I'll take off another 3. You know what happens is that when you achieve results for somebody, they reset their goals, because a lot of times people's health goals and weight loss goals are controlled by their own beliefs. And so when you get results for them, their belief changes. In any event, Amanda has done, Amanda comes out of the Canadian military and joined on WildFit. And she is, I don't know how to put it to you, but just the most incredible brand ambassador. Like if ever we have inconsistency somewhere, she's the first one to jump onto them. And Andrea, maybe you've got more about her personal story that could be really enlightening, but I'm a big fan of Amanda's.
Big fan of Amanda's. And she's also helped, like she's getting to the hundreds of clients at this point because she's coached so many people through the WildFit Challenge, and she has a nutrition degree as well. In fact, you might remember this, but she asked us if she was like 3 classes and 4 months away from finishing her nutrition degree, and she said, "Yeah,
Amanda?
I was, man, I've learned so much from WildFit. Maybe I shouldn't finish my degree. And you wisely said, no, 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 go finish your degree. You're almost at the finish line. But she's done a lot from that. And then, of course,
Just
there's
so
like,
you guys understand what happened. Basically, she was very near to finishing the degree, and she's like, most of the stuff I'm learning is wrong, and I've learned more in this program, and blah blah blah. And she goes, I'm not even going to bother finishing the degree. I'm like, whoa, hold on a minute. The knowledge might be useless, and you might feel that it's not useless, but the piece of paper is really valuable. And the great thing is that because she had that formal training, she's added a lot of value to the overall coaching process into the community.
Yep, absolutely.
These two are also real favorites of mine, Leafy and Melanie. They coach as a pair, and we recommend that a lot. Many of our coaches do this, is that rather than running clients complete, I mean, I rarely will do a class on my own. Even this small class that I'm doing now for private VIPs, there's only 10 people in the class. I have a second chair as well. Well, Leafy and Melanie, they do a fantastic job of the 1-2 punch, working together to collaborate. And remind me, Andrea, I know that they did that campaign where they did a campaign and sold like $15,000 worth of coaching from that single campaign. Remind me what they did for that campaign?
They were hosting in their neighborhood or in their community, like not lunch and learns, but they were actually people in their homes and feeding them. And then
like the dinner party kind of thing. Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yep.
And I, it was one of those things that we were contemplating rolling that out with coaches, and they just did it. They went out and created a way of doing it where they would invite people in and get to share their successes. And then all of a sudden, boom, they just filled up, $15,000 worth of classes. If I remember correctly, and Andrea, please do correct me, I don't want to overstate anything, but I think that they had said that they wanted to run their business, obviously paying themselves and what have you, and recover their investment. I think they'd created an 18-month ROI window. They said, look, we want to, recover our investment. And of course they had a full ROI in 9 months, which I think, these days and then of course, after ROI, you start moving to profitability. They are a wonderful, wonderful pair. Really, really honored to have them on our team. Also, Valerie. Valerie is she's a French coach in France. And it's funny, she was at our WildFest event this year, and it was so really fascinating. She just has such a gorgeous energy about the way she communicates about WildFit and stuff. And then all of a sudden she shows me her before after pictures. See, because remember, these days I don't get to see everybody before anymore. I just see them after, and then they walk up and show me a picture. And she showed this to me. I was like, I suddenly got what her drive and passion was. She has been banging down our door to get WildFit done in French. It's on the way, but that's her passion. And there's an important message about that, is that we really are working with our team to develop what's needed. We listen. And, as it stands right now, WildFit is available in Russian, WildFit is available in German, WildFit will be available in Spanish within a few months, and WildFit will be available in French soon as well. I don't have any tea on that, but Valerie really, really has a lot of passion for that, and that's what's driving that evolution.
And Eric, one of the things that when people start a business, often they don't have testimonials, right? It'll be something that holds them back from having social proof that their coaching really works. And so our coaches get to utilize all the testimonials that we have from the last 5 years or longer, even at this point, where they can show these kind of testimonials as a WildFit coach with people maybe you haven't coached specifically, but the program has produced those sorts of results. So Laura is one of our coaches, but then she also has an amazing story.
Yeah, that's a really good point. A lot of times when people want to start a coaching practice, they're kind of like, well, success stories to get my first clients, but I need my first clients to get my success stories. And we're like, well, yeah, but that's why you want to align with a brand that's already creating those successes. Why we have an endless database of these testimonial stories, because our coaches are able to use them in their own coaching practice. Sherry here is actually a really dear friend of mine as well. And she's one of my favorite examples because she was one of our very earliest clients. And we're talking, it's been over 3 years, and she has continued to improve and continue to improve. I want you to understand why that's important. And this is consistent with our clients. It's important because the way the diet industry normally works is that because they use really, flawed techniques to get people to lose weight, there's a constant yo-yo dieting. And really great with Sherry is having watched her now over the course of 4 years, it just shows the lasting power of what we're doing. And again, what's really great is you see these written, these are real, genuine testimonials from real people that you get as, in our coaching practice that you get access to for your own marketing. It's pretty powerful. So here's something else. You probably wouldn't be here if you didn't already know that WildFit works at a disruptively effective level. And so what I want to do is share with you why it works that way. And I want you to hear it two different ways. I want you to hear it from the perspective of maybe you're evaluating becoming a WildFit coach, and I want you to hear these things. Or maybe you're simply wanting to know how to build your own coaching practice so that it is effective as well. So I want you to hear these principles both in the sense of, wow, I might want to join the team, or I want to apply these principles to my own practice. So the one thing that makes it really successful for our coaches is that it's a done for you 90-day system. So you don't have to go out and develop a product. You don't have to think about what you're going to say on the first call. You don't have to worry about the client experience, because the client experience has been created for you. And I think that that's a really powerful asset to have. Plus, the other reason that WildFit works really well, and this is something you want to consider in your path going forward, is how can you duplicate this for yourself, whether it's with WildFit or elsewhere, is skip the $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 that it would cost you to launch from scratch by finding a program that you have values alignment with, that you know really works, that has the marketing clout behind them, that has the success stories that you can align with, and not have to go out and pay to develop all that stuff for yourself. And I think that's one of the reasons that WildFit gives our coaches such a great kind of head start. The other one is that very related to that is that for many people, starting a practice, it's mostly money going out the door all the time. It's like money going out the door constantly. I've got to build this. I've got to build that. I've got to build that. And of course, one of the great things about the WildFit coaching certification is that so much of it is done for you that you can quite literally be making money before the coaching certification program is finished. It's set up that way that you could be making money before you've even completed your certification, and continue to be able to make money after that, like easily, because of the pre-built things that are available to you. And then of course, the biggest reason that WildFit is as successful as it is not about marketing. It's not about what we built. It's not, those things are all valuable, but I'll tell you the biggest thing that has made WildFit so successful is the WildFit method. And the WildFit method is what we call the process that we used inside, the structured week by week process, the language patterns, the characters that we use for internal dialogue, the coaching routines, and all that sort of stuff. Those things are why WildFit is so successful. We do almost no marketing. We experiment a little bit with it here and there. We do almost no marketing. WildFit has launched and grown around the world the way it has because of results. Other people spend money marketing us. They do. Like Mindvalley must spend a huge amount of money marketing us around the world. They bring thousands of clients to us all the time. But why? Because Vishen did the program and got phenomenal results. And why did Paul Shealy go out and tell all of his? Because he got phenomenal results. And so that process, it's the WildFit method, it's the success of the program that makes it so successful. So you need to think about that both in terms of, hey, is this a team that I want to be part of? But also as you're building your practice, you need to understand and you should be creating a raving fan from and be where you get your next clients from. Why WildFit works why the WildFit method works so well is, well, frankly, minimum opportunities to fail. We've basically made all the mistakes for you already. So you just don't have to make a lot of them, both in terms of the way the program was set up and in terms of the way we train you as a coach. The other thing is that by setting the program up with a sense of community, with a sense of gamemanship and a sense of, look, there's something that we talk about called program intensity. And that's like, how much intensity do the clients do the program with? And one of the reasons that WildFit works so well is that people jump in with high program intensity. You probably saw this on your class. At some point, I or the coach that you're working with will have asked, maybe at the 5-week mark or the 6-week mark, they've asked, how many of you, this is the longest you've ever been able to stick with a program for? And you'd be amazed that it's like 70 or 80% of the hands. That's because the program intensity gets them to stick with it. the activation of conscious dialogue. Keep these things in mind, not just as a WildFit coach, but in any coaching practice, is that by really getting people to drop in and eavesdrop on their own conscious dialogue, you can really facilitate a lot of change. Pattern interrupts. You will notice that there's certain things that I do when I'm coaching people, like way of speaking or facial expressions that I use or language in. And a lot of those are designed to interrupt their current way of thinking so that the next time they go home and they have a dialogue with themselves about food, suddenly they hear a voice in their head. And it's like, they go, well, wait a minute, Eric said this, or Eric said that, or their food devil, or their food monster, or their sugar monster. They hear those voices and then they smile and then power over the decision. How many of you had at least one or two moments like that where you were almost falling back into an old pattern, and then something about the way the program worked, a story that was told, a was made, and then suddenly like, it interrupted the thought and allowed you to be more free? How many of you had that? I'm curious because it's powerful. And then, yeah, absolutely, Christine. It's just the way that is. Laura as well. And Laura, I asked a question earlier about Italian. Yes, absolutely. We plan to be in every language conceivable. What generally drives our prioritization about languages is the market opportunity. So when a partner comes along and says, yeah, I can launch you into this market, then we're like, okay, well, we better get the language going on. So Italian is not currently there, although there is somebody very prominent in Italy that I've kind of been seeding about this. He was just here in Cabarete a couple of weeks ago. And if we got him on board as a bit of a partner, I'd be very intrigued about getting the Italian version done. There's one more thing that really has been the underpinning of the success of WildFit, and that is community. Again, I wish I could tell you I did this on purpose, that I did it with consciousness, but I did it out of laziness. I'm not kidding. I didn't want to coach people one-on-one. I wanted to reach as many people as I could. And so I just said like, oh, I'm just going to put people in group classes. And I did it it turned out immediately that it was the sense of community that was really helping get the process. And wait, we have clients that go through the program on their own, but now there's a larger global WildFit community. It helps them to stay on track. You know, people are having WildFit meetups, they're having WildFit dinners, they're getting together, and that sense of community is a big part of our success around the world. So, yeah, this is a great example of this, is that last year we launched WildFest Beta, our test at our annual WildFest conference, and it was incredible to see. I mean, I can't remember. We had something like, Andrew, was it like 15 or 16 countries? You know, yeah. People converged here. It was, wasn't it? And it was just really powerful. And many of those people obviously are still staying connected with each other. Some of you might have been at, we did a big WildFit reunion down in San Diego last year. And these kind of get-togethers are really big. And what I'm so excited about is that they're happening without us now. And that's really, really special to me. I love that that's what's going on out there. So yeah, community is a big, big key.
Big key.
Oh, here's a really great example too, by the way. Now, if I remember correctly, Donna on the right, you guys saw the pictures of Laura earlier, and that was, and so Donna, if I remember this correctly, Donna did the program. Is that correct? Correct. Yeah. Donna did the program, and you can see how much Donna changed. And guys, you can only see what the camera's showing you. What you can't see is how much, better it made her feel, how much more energy she had, how much more bubbly she was. And so then Laura's like, you guys remember Harry Met Sally? You guys remember the scene? If you don't remember the scene, don't worry about it. But the bottom line is there's a moment in the scene where somebody goes, I'll have what she's having, right? And basically Laura said to Donna, I'll have what you're having. And then Laura ended up doing the program, and community creates transformation. This is one of the best examples of be the change you want to see in your clients. Be the change you want to see in your community. Be the change you want to see in your family. Be the change you want to see in the world. He's also one of our coaches. He's also, funny enough, our favorite sound engineer for all of our live events. And he says, it is the only methodology in health and fitness that actually made any sense to me. It is so good to have control over what you put in your body and feeling really good about it. Sharing WildFit is one of the most rewarding things that I do. Guys, this is a sound engineer that was just at our events and kept hearing me talk about this stuff and got so inspired by watching people over the space of a year changed their bodies and changed their minds so much that he's like, forget sound engineer. I want to come and become a coach as well. Talking about a career shift, right? So
And
yes,
Eric,
yeah.
oh, sorry. That actually answers one of the questions we have from Jaja, which is do you guys train coaches with little or no coaching, of which Jorgen had really no coaching experience. And he's now running a business coaching and working with people that he's helping with WildFit.
Yeah, Jaja, that's a really great question. And I want to be clear that I really believe that if somebody's going to start completely from scratch, they'd better have some serious background training knowledge about running a coaching business and so on. What we've really done is we've created a system for you where, first of all, the education component is pre-done. So the education component is handled. In other words, you're not having to repeat yourself all the time. You're not having to remember things. That's all done for you. The email communication is already taken care of. Those aspects are handled. So what that allows you to do is focus on the client, focus on their psychology. And of course, in the coaching certification, we give you that. We show you the way that I coach. We explain the WildFit method, all the tools that are inside it. And I will tell you that the existing coaches, many of the existing coaches that have gone through our coaching certification have come back and said, wow, I've got, years of coaching under my belt and years of certifications under my belt. And in a 6-week coaching certification, I've learned more practical skills about creating transformation for people than I did in all the other theoretical knowledge that I learned about coaching. So, Jaja, your question is absolutely valid, is that if we were, if somebody was going out to start a coaching practice completely from scratch, I think, yeah, they're going to need a much deeper depth in the coaching industry. The way we've set this up is that a guy like Jorgen can be a phenomenal sound engineer and boom, he can become a great coach because we've created the construct around him and allow him to do the pieces that he needs to focus on. And of course, providing him with the training to do that. Great question.
It is a great question. And Tim asks another one about the credibility about becoming a WildFit coach. And I think that's one of the things that is so great about taking a program that already exists is you get to borrow the credibility of the program while you build your own credibility with new clients as well, if you want to touch on that for a second.
Yeah, I think that like what you guys have to get is that when I launched, I didn't have a great deal of credibility in this space. I mean, I had some because I had been doing some speaking about health and that kind of stuff. And so in my larger community, people did know of me as like kind of a health conscious food freak, but I didn't have all the testimonials and that kind of stuff. And it was getting the first 8 clients was really difficult. Getting the next 8 clients was really difficult. And it was difficult right up until it became easy. And there came this point where it became easy because the results from clients became, evidence enough that either clients were walking in the door or curious clients were convinced because of that. And I think that's one of the things that we give you is that WildFit itself has such a high degree of credibility and authority out there in the world that you automatically get that credibility and authority with your certification. And incidentally, we recently had we have monthly calls with our coaches, and I don't host them all, but I was on the last one because we had a really neat bit of content to go through, and I wanted to host it myself. And one of the coaches on there has gone through another one of like the sort of comprehensive coaching training programs that's out there, and it was such an interesting thing because her comment is that the depth of information we gave them, both in terms of how to be really effective at transformation and how to grow their coaching practice, was really, really deep. And a big part of that is that when you're landed with a bunch of ability from day one, because you've been through the program, because every one of our coaches did the program as a client. I mean, I don't think anybody's bypassed it. And so they have an immediate sense of built-in credibility. They can speak with authority about it. But then on top of that, the program has that reputation. On Facebook, we have a 4.9 star rating. And by the way, the reason we have a 4.9 star rating is some weirdo from Victoria, BC, who's never done our program, gave us a 1-star rating one day. And we wrote to him and said, what's this all about? And he just never answered us. And, we have our suspicions about why he might've done that. But then I wrote to Facebook and said, look, this is a fraudulent, this isn't a real review. And then suddenly somebody pointed out to me, Eric, nobody believes 5-star ratings. So 4.9 is more believable than 5. But what I'm really getting at is that you get that credibility as one of our coaches. And incidentally, and please don't take this as any kind of bragging. I'm amazed at the credibility that we have around the world from creating the results. And there's a few things that have really shown that to me. And I'll share 2 of them with you. One is that WildFit has been featured in a television show recently. It hasn't aired yet, but we were featured in a Shark Tank type television show. And the producer of that show came out to interview me in the public and, shooting a bunch of video. Then they came to an event that I was speaking at in Vancouver, and the testimonials, and I've known this guy for 20 years. He's a really good friend of mine. And the testimonials that he was witnessing from people walking up to me and crying while they told me the story of how they have a new life. He was like, Eric, what are you guys doing out there? And no kidding, he bought himself a plane ticket and followed me with his camera. Like, we didn't engage. He was shooting his own show, followed me down to San Diego where I was speaking at another event where there's about 800 people in the audience and 400 or 500 of them were WildFit clients. And he was so blown away. He was so blown away by what he saw from clients that he has funded himself. So far, he's funded himself the beginnings of our first WildFit documentary because he got so caught up. And this is a guy, by the way, who's made 15 feature films with everybody from Jason Statham to Charlize Theron. He's an award-winning director. He's a serious filmmaker. That tells you something, doesn't it? And then here's the other one is one day I get this note. It's like, Eric, you need to go to Ottawa. Okay, some of you don't know what Ottawa is. I know that. But if you're Canadian, you know what Ottawa is. And Ottawa is the capital of Canada, and it's where Parliament is. And the reason I had to go there is that the Canadian Senate gave me a medal, literally, a matter of fact, it lives here in my office now. I mean, they gave me a medal for the work that we're doing in this space. And so the good news for you is that the credibility and authority that we spent 5 years cultivating is yours with your certification. The next certification class that we have, for those of you who are interested in doing more with WildFit, the next certification class that we have starts on November 15th. And if you are interested in doing that, the action steps are being sent in the chat to you. There's a link that you can go to, and it'll be emailed out to you. But here's what's involved, just so you understand the way we do this and how comprehensive it is that the first thing is that you get access to the full WildFit 90-day training program with coaching modules. So you obviously get all the videos that are in there, but now with coaching modules. So what happens now is at the end of a given week, there's now a video from me describing what it is that I do. In fact, the videos that you're watching are live coaching classes that I've done so that we can then break down what I did in that class and really get a sense of what it was that I was doing. I don't know if you've ever had this experience watching like a movie, particularly Disney cartoons are like this. You watch them and then like 3 months, because kids just want to watch them again and again, right? So if you're a parent, you've probably watched a few Disney movies more than once. But have you ever noticed that you can watch it the second and third time and you pick up nuances and you pick up jokes? In fact, jokes that are aimed at adults that the kids don't even hear? Well, what's really neat is that when you go through the coaching certification, you're going to see stuff that happens inside the classes and you're going to go, oh, I like that. And of course, we're going to break that down for you so you're going to see how it works. So in week 1, you do this coaching training orientation. And in week 2, we show you how to work towards setting your clients up for success, like making sure that you lay the foundations so that you can really move forward powerfully with your clients. In week 3, we focus very heavily on WildFit language patterns and why it matters, how to deliver it, why it is that I say things the way I do, why I use my voice the way I do, why I lean into the camera at the right moment when I need to do that. And equally, how it is that I'm reading somebody. How many of you in your class, if you worked with me or one of our coaches, notice that sometimes I was able to just say exactly the right thing at the right moment for the person to get the breakthrough that they needed? And then how about this? What you might not have noticed is that sometimes I was saying that thing not for the person I was actually speaking to. Because sometimes if you coach directly to somebody, they can't hear you. And so what I will often do, knowing that the person in that square needs to hear something, I will switch to somebody else and I'll say it to them, allowing the other person to hear it properly. Now you think about that, you probably saw me do that, or you probably saw your coach do that in your class. So we're going to show you how we do that because it's really, really effective, the language patterns and all that kind of stuff. Lisa says, I often thought that you were reading my mind. Well, I'm going to show you how to do that. And I'll give you a bit of a clue, Lisa, and for everybody, a bit of a clue to this is that there's 2 methods that really help you to read somebody's mind. One is what we call sensory acuity. That is watching the nuances. You guys have heard in the class are like, get your cameras on, get your cameras on. That's because I'm paying attention not only to their vocal tones, but I'm paying attention to the slightest little muscular movements around their face, their hesitations. I'm paying attention to all that. That creates the feeling sometimes that I'm able to read their mind. But then here's the other thing. We've done this so often that we know what you're thinking in week 2, and we know what you're thinking in week 3, and we know what you're thinking in week 4. In fact, all of you, I'm assuming, probably did WildFit 2.0. There may be a few of you that did WildFit 1.0 some years ago. What's the difference? We did WildFit 1.0 for years, and we recorded the questions that people asked week by week by week. So all the questions that people ask in week 1 over 3 years, all the questions that people ask in week 2. And then what we did is we recorded FAQs for all of those, but then we reshot the program now knowing what questions are coming up for people. And that, Lisa, is why you as a WildFit coach will also seem as though you're reading your client's mind, because we know what's going on.
Eric, for our coaches, we actually give you all of those hints of what happens in each week and what to expect and anticipate from your clients. So you'll actually look like a mind reader like our coaches do now, because we have all of that history recorded and then put into systems so that you as the coach get all that information.
Yeah. And guys, sorry if I seem a little like proud and a little full of myself about how good this stuff is. I'm sorry. It's just, I am proud of it. It's one of the biggest, aside from my children and my marriage, I think this is the thing that I'm most proud of in the world. It works so well, and I'm excited by it. Week 4, we go into the process of guiding your clients through the incremental nutritional changes, specifically the toughest parts around giving up dairy, grain, and sugar. Remember, we're not talking about giving them up. We're talking about taking small holidays from them. And this is very important in language patterns, because, hey, WildFit is about freedom. That's why people don't have to give things up. WildFit is about freedom. That's why we don't tell people what not to have. We tell them what enhancements to make for a period of time. That's why we have Freedom Friday, right? And we'll show you how to guide that process and how to coach people when they're struggling, because about 10 or 15% of your clients in week 6, 7, and 8, they're going to rebel. They're going to struggle a little, and we're going to show you how to deal with that. And we're going to make you feel okay about it. Because I'll tell you something. There's going to be the odd moment where a client is going to convince you that this just isn't working. And you're going to be like, I don't know, dude, maybe I don't. And then that's why it's going to be so great that you have community, because they're going to remind you that there's always one person in the class that feels that way, right up until the next day when they write to you and go, oh my God, I'm so glad I stuck with it. And we're going to show you how to get to that moment. Key to this in week 5, we're going to guide you through the process of spring. Let me tell you guys something about spring. Really fascinating. Tim Ferriss is a big fan of spring. Of course, he calls it ketogenics, right? He's one of the guys that popularized the idea of keto. We used to never even use the word keto, because back then keto was such an unpopular, nobody even knew the word. And so back then, if you typed in keto into Google, it would come up with ketoacidosis, which is a dangerous thing. And so people are like, keto is dangerous. No, it isn't, but it's also not a lifestyle. And I remember hearing Tim Ferriss talk about this one day, and he said that less than 10% of the people that attempt to get into a ketogenic state are able to get there and stay there for any meaningful period of time. Not so with WildFit, as you've seen. We show you how to get there. We show you how to get there comfortably. Sometimes it's a birthing process. Sometimes it's a little tough for the onboarding of it, but we will coach you how to make sure your clients get there and stay there for the amount of time they need to get the results. And then week 6, I'll show you the key thing here is how to make sure that you know how to empower your clients to stay with it. And a big part of this is really how you can cultivate a longer term relationship with the client as well, because maybe a monthly call with you long after the challenge. What we really want you to do is have a connection with the client that lasts for 2 to 3 years, because that is how the client's going to get the best lasting results, is that you know how to set them up for success, and that they come back to you, when they need a little help knowing when to switch the seasons, or they've run out of recipe ideas and they need a little guidance and that sort of stuff. Very comprehensive 6 weeks. You will receive, as part of all this, the WildFit Coach's Handbook. Guys, this is a lifesaver. Let me tell you something. I taught all my first classes not having a handbook of any kind, which meant that I had to remember everything and I had to have notes all over the place. And you guys have that handbook. I'll tell you now, if I was starting all over again and somebody handed me that handbook and said, how much is this handbook worth to you as a coach? That handbook is worth $25,000, by itself. That handbook, it shows you week by week what to expect, what to know, what to say, It is super powerful. And then on top of that, you get the WildFit coaching debriefing videos where I explain why I do this in week 1 and why I do that in week 2. When you become, with your certification, you also get monthly mastermind calls that are just for our WildFit coaches. So this is not a client thing. This is our coaches every month come on, and sometimes we bring in an expert. Like a couple of months ago, we brought in the founder of the Lady Boss Academy because she's a brilliant online marketer. And so she came on and shared all kinds of really powerful things about how to build funnels, how to build a landing page, how to brand yourself, and all this kind of stuff. So those monthly calls sometimes are us bringing an expert in. Sometimes it's me running a coaching clinic. I'll go, and sometimes it's one of you sharing your successes. I did this and it worked really well, and I want everybody else to understand it. So those calls are vital, and they are recorded. And so the good news is not only do you get access to them, you get access to all the ones you missed already, right? Because they're recorded and they're part of your dashboard as a coach. And you get personalized one-on-one coaching tips from a master coach. When you go through your first class, there's going to be one of our master coaches looking in on your classes and giving you refinements prior to you doing an exam, and kind of making sure you really get those last nuances to make sure you really know what's going on. Remember, from our perspective, your success is our success. The only way we're going to go out there and massively improve the quality of life from a health perspective of 1 billion people is if you take on a couple 100,000 of them for us. So we want to make sure you're good at it. And don't be intimidated. You don't have to have a couple 100,000. A few thousand will do. All right. You also get the WildFit FAQ database. This is another massive resource I wish I'd had when I started. But this is where we've collected all the questions over the years and answered them, and you've got them all. Like, you've got them all, which means that you don't need to know everything. You guys might be aware that one day the shareholders decided they wanted to get rid of Henry Ford. They said, you can't have this guy without a college education running like this company that's like that the US economy is dependent on. And in the end, he said, listen, guys, I don't want to fight this in court. Ask me any 20 questions you want. If I can't answer them, I'll just step down. And they're like, well, nobody could do that on a whole car manufacturing company. And so the next day they showed up in court and they fired 20 questions at him. And you know what he did? It was like this. They go, Mr. Ford, can you tell us what the pressure is in the third piston on the Model T? And he's like, yeah, hold on 1 second. Smithers. And he pointed down at one of the guys that looked like a lawyer, and he had a whole bank of lawyers. They weren't lawyers. They were experts. He knew where to get the answers. Richard Branson knows where to get the answers. I know where to get the answers. And so do you now, because we went and collected them for you. We also have the WildFit Coach Business and Marketing Toolkit. There are resources and banners and email copy and landing pages and all kinds of stuff to help you launch. So you've got lots of resources that way.
Eric, on that one, Jen also asked if she able to create her own marketing materials. So maybe just take a moment and say, you know, we've provided a ton of marketing materials that we know work, and everything from brochures to Instagram posts and words and copy you can use, and you can create your own if you like as well. Obviously, we encourage people to do that.
Yeah, and we give you a branding guidelines so that you know how to create the marketing materials while staying on brand, right? So you will have tons of them for yourself. And yes, you are absolutely free to create some within the brand guidelines.
And
absolutely.
I should also mention, we give you the assets you need to create a branding guideline. So like a template PowerPoint and the logos and anything that the fonts.
Clip art, photographs that we've used, all that kind of stuff. So that, you have the resources to put your own marketing materials and the guidelines, and we have tons of marketing materials for you. Again, guys, if I could have had that when I started, let me tell you something. So you guys are.
Designers would die if they just heard us call it clip art.
What was that?
It said they might die if they heard us call it clip art, because I think that's pretty sad.
Oh yeah, sorry, clip art is absolutely wrong. What I really meant was, what's the proper term for that? It's like
it's like customized graphics for WildFit.
Yeah, it was. But I was bundling two things. It's the art. It's the artwork that you guys have created, like these little banners and the icons and the logos and all that kind of stuff. But it's also the stock photography was the word I was looking for. Where we've got stock photography that we've either shot for ourselves or that we've licensed so that you guys have access to that sort of thing. Thank you. You're right. Let's not call it clip art. You also there's a private WildFit coaches Facebook community. So we've got a private community where our coaches are, where they collaborate, they share ideas when they've got a challenging client that they want to work on, or they've got a marketing puzzle they're trying to sort out and so on. They've got a really great collaborative space where they can hang out, share, collaborate, and so on. And then of course, you get access to the Living WildFit membership as a member of our coaching team.
Yeah.
Yes. Sorry, you were saying something?
Oh, no, I was just gonna say all the coaches get listed on the website in the Find a Coach page. Once you're certified and you go through that process, then you're listed on this page so clients can come and find you.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you that as we're moving forward, one of the things that we're developing is the capacity for somebody to actually go to a marketplace. So they can come in and go, hey, I'm buying the WildFit Challenge, and then I'm going to go and select a coach from the marketplace. So you'd be listed in that marketplace where they can go and get you. So, again, we're talking to you about helping you build your practice, and we'll do what we can at our marketing end to drive that in your direction as well. And that's being listed in the coaching directory is a big part of that. This is also key, guys. This is so powerful. As our coaches, you get our highest tier commission on our affiliate program. So for our normal affiliates, if somebody's like a small affiliate, they get a certain commission level. If somebody comes to us as a major partner, they get a higher commission level because they're doing a lot more work to drive clients toward us. Our coaches get that highest level. What that means is that our coaches, when they go and do a promotion or what have you, if somebody signs up with you as the coach, okay, you've made money. But if somebody signs up as a result of your marketing efforts and ends up signing up directly through us, you still get commissions for that. And what we're working toward now is creating an ongoing relationship that way, that as we launch, for example, WildFit snack products, WildFit food, shirts, that kind of stuff, we want to drive that as well, so that in our affiliate commission system, that you're actually getting our highest tiered commission on that long relationship with the client as well. So you get our highest tiered commission, and you guys get what we call favored nation or family pricing on all of my live trainings. So that may not mean a great deal to you if you don't know who I am out there in the world as a trainer, but I can tell you that the value of that discount off of our live trainings is worth more than the coaching certification itself. The reason we do this is that we want you to have our business trainings. We want you to have our public speaking trainings. I'll tell you something, guys. I know some of you are going, I don't want public speaking training. That's terrifying. I will tell you something about public speaking, is that it is the highest form of influence in the world. Being able to talk to a camera, being able to talk to an audience, it's the highest form of influence in the world, because for millions of years, for at least a couple 100,000 years, our ancestors sat around fires and shared stories with each other. And so our DNA is kind of hard coded to that. And so we run one of the probably the highest rated platform skills or speaking communication program in the world. And you guys get that at a massive discount as members of our community. So that we do that because we want you to have those skills, because with those skills, you're going to be way more successful. And you're going to help a lot more people. So yeah, and I think that the key thing here is just to recognize, what is your kind of ultimate goal here? Is it to create a circumstance where you can create financial and lifestyle freedom for yourself while doing something really like rewarding? And if you're ready to make that investment for yourself, then the WildFit coaching certification is an awesome step forward for you, because so much of it's done for you and allows you to just jump in right away. So the coaching certification program is $5,995 US. And there are payment plans available. I know for some of you, it's like, wow, okay, there's a bit of an investment in that. That's true. It's a whole lot less than you having to build all this stuff for yourself. And I get that it's a bit of it, that for some of you, it's an investment. And that's why we've created a payment plan for you. And so there's the payment plan options are detailed for you on the registration page. We want to make it as easy as possible for you to get in and become a certified WildFit coach. Now, Andrea, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna, nope, you're good.
Plus, what we've done is bundled in a bunch of additional bonuses for you. A bunch of additional bonuses that we think are going to support you in launching your coaching practice, or if you've already got a coaching practice, like relaunching it in a much bigger way. So a couple things that we give you is we give you 12 WildFit licenses. We'll explain that a little bit more as we go through here. But what that means is that when you put clients through the program, you sell them the program and you collect the money, and then you pay a small licensing fee. Normally those licenses are $300 per client. And we've been running them at only $100 per client for the last almost year. It was a short-term campaign, but we've kept it for our coaches, which they seem to like quite a lot. We give you 12 of those licenses right at the outset, which means your first 12 clients are pure profit to you, completely pure profit to you. We also give you our Inception Marketing Video Training Program. If any of you have done any business training with me or been to any of our marketing webinars, you will know what an incredible value this is. It's a very comprehensive training program that shows you how we do our marketing, both in business and in WildFit, and generally it shows you the keys to influence. And so we really wanted you to have this program so that you really understand how to have a face-to-face conversation with somebody, how to write email copy, how to really create a marketing campaign of influence. And so we give you, it's a $600 program. We give it to you completely for free with your registration. You also get, as I said to you before, one of the most powerful forms of influence in the world is effective communication and public speaking. And so you get a copy of our Successful Speaking Strategies training program completely for free. Again, a $600 program that you can go buy online anytime, but you guys get it from us as a gift just for becoming a WildFit coach. We just hand that over to you because we know that it's going to support you and it's going to support our global mission, because the better you are, the better we are. You also get the Speaking with Confidence virtual retreat. And what that really gives you is refinements. You're going to learn a bunch of stuff in the digital training program, but on the Speaking with Confidence virtual retreat, we go in deeper and really help you to figure out how to tell your stories, how to put a speech together. You want to learn how to give a talk without needing to use notes? How about, or you want to learn how to like access the stories you need to have. You want to learn how to tell stories really effectively. You get this retreat. It's normally $1,300. As a WildFit coach, you get to come to that completely for free. And then if you want to continue on and really become an effective communicator in front of audiences or in front of cameras like this and that sort of stuff, our speaking program is $7,000. Actually, last year it was $7,000. I think there's a price increase coming this year. But for you guys, it's only $34.97. It's basically like, that's what our staff pays to go, so that you get that as a discount, as a bonus of being part of our family. So in essence, you're getting about over $7,000 worth of bonuses for joining the program. These bonuses are for this training program. I'm saying that to you because, and by the way, for any of you who are already coaches, because a lot of times our coaches will join us on these webinars, I realize these coaches, these bonuses are different than the ones you got. That's how this works. We put together a bonus package for the Giving Coaching Certification. And so these bonuses are available for everybody who gets themselves registered before November 11th at midnight, New York time, for this campaign. Those bonuses are for that time. So let's go back for a minute to the, I heard something really wonderful the other day, is your words are your wand. Right? Your words are your magic wand. Like they are how you kind of create magic for yourself. And so here's what I would love in the next section of the worksheet that we gave you is, what would your dream coaching business be like? What would your days be like? What kind of people would you be helping? What kind of responses would you be getting back from people? What kind of income would you be creating? What would your lifestyle be like? Where would you work from? How would you travel if you were kind of independent of your geography because you had something like this? I want you to kind of give some thought to what that's like. And if you could sum it up, if you could sum that lifestyle up, if you could sum that success up into one word, what would it be? What would that one word be? Drop that in the chat, put it on your form. You've launched a really powerful, successful, passion-based business that's allowing you to create the kind of life that you want to live and help people. What is that one word for you? Blessed, freedom, magic, freedom, elated, significant, independent, phenomenal. Yeah, that's what we're really talking about. Your words really do create your reality. So the real question is, what does your intuition tell you about this? If you've got an existing coaching program, do you believe that WildFit is going to be another really powerful tool in your toolbox that's going to allow you to expand your depth of coaching capacity and expand your offering your clients? And if you're thinking now is the time to become a coach and launch your career, what does your gut tell you about what the next action steps are to take? And if your gut tells you what I'm hoping it does, that you want to join our team, we've got spaces. I'm not sure how many spaces we have for the next class coming up. We still have spaces available. Obviously, we're running this webinar. Here's what you do to apply to get started. You go and you submit an application at getwildfit.com, become a coach. Don't worry, you don't have to write that down. It's been put in the chat for you. It will also be emailed out to you. When you submit your application, you put a $500 fully refundable deposit with your application. That money, if you are for whatever reason not accepted into the program, you get a complete refund back. So it's a fully refundable deposit. It's just to make sure that you're actually committed in the direction that you want to go in. And unfortunately, when we've done these things in the past, if we didn't put that in there, we get like hundreds of people applying, and then we find out some of them are not committed. And so the deposit is fully refundable if for whatever reason you're not accepted into the program. And then you wait impatiently for your approval from us to let you know that you've been accepted into the program. Or if not, why not, and what needs to change for maybe the next class. This is not about rejecting anybody. This is about supporting people. And we just want to make sure that you're at the right time in your life and that you've got the right skills around you and you've got the right situation. And so you will wait for the email. And Andrea, can you tell me roughly how long will it take for us to process applications and get back to people, just so they've got an expectation?
Yeah, we do look at every application. So it takes about 2 to 3 business days for us to get back to people.
So it takes about 2 to 3 days from the point that you submit. The only challenge is right after the webinar, we get a ton of submissions in. So it might take a little bit longer than that because we get a bit of a glut of them coming in. So hang tight. We will get to you as quickly as we can. And then here's the key thing: celebrate. You know, it's a funny thing. Take action, get yourself registered, get your deposit in, and then celebrate, because you're at the beginning of something new. You're at the beginning of adding a depth to your existing coaching practice or to launching a new lifestyle for yourself. And that is exciting. I can tell you from personal experience, the ability to have a business where I am doing something fundamentally rewarding all the time, and that I get to live that way. It's an honor and a privilege. So celebrate that, because that's what's on the way.
Good stuff. I've got a couple questions for you, Eric. I'm going to stop
Sure.
sharing.
Yeah.
And one of them is from Amber, and she wants to know how much digital or technology skills she needs to do online coaching, and what about business knowledge as well. So it's kind of a 2-part question. How much do you need to know about technology, and then what about business?
Okay. Technology, it would be useful if you kind of understood the basic operations of Google. I mean, if you can use the web browser, that would be useful. If you know how to, I'm kidding around a little bit here, but I was talking to a guy who ran the help desk at one of the big IT companies, and he would have people literally calling up and saying, I just can't get my computer turned on. And he'd work with them for like 15 minutes to try and figure out the problem. And he finally go, hang on, sir, is it plugged in the wall? So if you're kind of past that, then you're going to be okay, because we're going to provide you with the support you need. Now, some of our coaches will go out and create their own internet marketing funnels. They'll go do their own ClickFunnels or Infusionsoft installations and all that kind of stuff, which we will help you with, which will guide you on best practice and so on. And some of our coaches don't want to do that at all. They just use what we've already got set up. And so if you are basically familiar, look, if you're here on this Zoom call, you're good. You're good. If you figured out how to get onto the Zoom call, then you're good. And we will support you with everything else you need. What was part 2 of that question? Technology and?
Technology and business knowledge. I was laughing though when you said on the Zoom call you passed the test if you managed to get here or on Facebook. But yeah, business knowledge. How much business knowledge do they need?
You know, again, this depends really on what you want to build. If you want to build like a really big practice, like you want to build a practice and really like turn it into something big, it might be useful to have a little bit of business and marketing knowledge. Good news is we're going to give you that. You know, I will tell you, long before WildFit, I have been a business consultant, a business teacher, a business lecturer for years. I'm at heart a serial entrepreneur. That's why you guys get our family level pricing to all of our business trainings. And so you're really going to be well supported in that area. Now, if you have no business knowledge and you don't really have an interest in it, great, no problem. We've got that side handled. You know, we have some coaches that simply use our system. They use their affiliate code. They go and promote, done. They don't need to build a whole business around it. We have other coaches that have said, you know what, we're going to come up with our own marketing plan and we're going to build our own landing pages and so on. And so either way, we're going to provide you the support that you need to make that happen. It's good either way.
This is, I think, my favorite question. And I have an answer for it too, but it's from Teresa about how do you feel about an older person becoming a coach?
Okay, well, first of all, as an older person, I resemble that remark. And
Since we called it clip art earlier, we gave away our age, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Geez, that's not so good. No, listen, I will tell you something. I don't believe there's any age bar anywhere around how this works. What I'm getting to, what I want to say to you is that I would like us to have a broad spectrum of coaches from 17 to 77 to 92. And I mean that because here's the thing. Look, somebody who's in their 70s, and we've got, a matter of fact, if you go to our Facebook page, one of the first reviews that comes up is a woman goes, I'm 71 years old and I did this program, right? Who do you think that 71-year-old is going to enjoy more as a coach? A 23-year-old coach or a 65 or 75-year-old coach, right? And so I don't believe there's any age bar whatsoever. I believe that it has everything to do with who you're planning to market to. Now, if you told me that you were, 85 and wanting to market to teenagers, I might say, well, listen, we might want to rethink your target market there. That might not, but you know what? I don't even know if that's true. I was really shocked to find recently that a young girl did our program. She was 17 years old, and I am hoping she's going to join our coaching. As a matter of fact, I'm hoping she's on this call right now, and I'm hoping that she is going to join our coaching team. And I'll tell you, I asked her, I said, what got you to do this? And what was really fascinating is in her case, the fact that I was not that young and that I was able to provide a little bit of like, I don't know how to put it, but say strong masculine leadership in the process. That was what was attractive to her. And, that made her really feel like she could follow along and say, wow, it's like, this is the right energy for me. So I want you to know there's no particular age that's perfect. There's no particular weight that's perfect. There is you at your level of who you are right now. And as long as you, like me, are continuing to want to improve yourself, then yeah, you're going to make a great coach.
So Eric, we're a bit over time, quite a bit over time. So I'm going to ask you one more, and then we'll probably wrap it up after this.
Sure.
Tim asks, can you tell us more about the observation class and the overall timetable to become fully qualified?
Go ahead.
Okay, so some of our coaches do this in as little as 3 months, because basically once you do the first portion of the training, then you take a written test that's, you can do it anytime. That has happened in as little as 2 weeks. And then after that, we ask that you start your own class and you actually go through coaching the class. So you actually can start coaching in as little as 2 weeks. You're not certified until you're through that first test class. And that class we observe and we give you feedback and we help you along. And then at the end of that class, you do an oral exam with either Eric or I. And after your oral exam is when you find out if you're fully certified or not. So you can start coaching in as little as a couple of weeks, and then it takes 3 to 4 months to be fully certified.
Yeah, and plus on top of that, just as a sidebar, is that you get our deepest level affiliate commissions, which means that from the minute you're in the program, you can actually be out there promoting WildFit and earning commissions while you're in training. So you have the ability to immediately start stimulating a return on your investment super fast. And
it's up to you whether or not you want to charge for your first trial class, but most coaches do. So they actually start usually quite quickly with charging. Yeah,
some of our coaches discount their places because it's family members and that kind of stuff. But remember, your first 12 clients are 100% pure profit. So whatever you sell those classes for, it's 100% profit to you. So it's really excellent. Let's see here. There was another one here. Jules says, can you give us an idea of the pipeline for other languages? Jules, what I can tell you is presently Russian, presently German. Next is Spanish. I believe that we're talking about having Spanish out in even first quarter of this year coming. The roadmap after that isn't so very clear. And as I said, it's largely driven by opportunity. So for example, if a coach came in and one of the markets I really want to get into, 2 of them, speaking of Asian, is I would really like to break into the Japanese and also the Chinese markets. And we have various people that have expressed an interest in bringing the program into those markets. So ultimately what will happen for us is that one day somebody will go, here I've got this kind of influence. We can get you on this television, or we can get you on this mailing list, or what have you. I have the reach. Then it's easy for us to justify the investment in triggering that language. So I can't give you a pipeline beyond that, but I can give you the process of roughly how it happens. The other thing you should know is that within about 2 years, language translation is going to become a nothing. And what I mean is that AI, machine learning, is happening so quickly that you are about 2 years away from, no kidding, being able to simply text somebody in the language you want to speak and have them receive it clean in their language. And then maybe we're 3 years away from being able to speak into your phone in one language and come out the other, which is going to completely changed the way we do language translation for our programs. It means, in a sense, it's almost like we'll press a button and all our videos will be translated. So we're very close. In the meantime, we're moving forward anyway, but I just want you to know, I doubt we're more than about 3 years away from every language being reachable with machine learning. It's coming quickly.
Good stuff. Jody asked if they're not fully certified and marketing a trial class, can they use the marketing materials and logos?
Yeah, I'm sorry, what was that?
Oh, Jody asked if they're not fully certified, can they use the marketing materials for the trial class? Yeah, you can use all of the materials you're giving them right away so you can get people into your classes.
Yeah, we do ask that when you're doing your trial class that you are that you put that you're a coach in training. You can't put that you're a certified coach until you've completed the process. But yeah, you can use the materials and you can acknowledge yourself as a coach in training through that process. Great question.
And then someone asked, how young can a coach be? We addressed one end of the spectrum, but what about, of course, the other young end of the spectrum?
You know, again, I'm just not an ageist. You know, I don't have an answer for you on that. I'll tell you right now that one of our early clients, her son did the program, and at 16 years old, he actually ended up becoming a member of our team. Now he didn't go into coaching, but he ended up working on our help desk. 16 years old, he just jumped in, and had he said, "Hey, I'd really like to become a coach," I'd have been 100% behind that. You know, I think if somebody came to me at 12, maybe I'd say maybe there's some maturity issues that need to be handled here. But, you know, for what it's worth, I'm not even sure I'd care if they had the right attitude. Have you seen this kid? He's on YouTube opening toys for his friends and what have you. He's making $5 million a year running a YouTube channel. So if somebody came along and transformed their whole life around food and they could give me access to that market, if they could show me how to unlock the WildFit for Kids market, I don't care how old they are. I'm not an ageist.
Okay.
Any more questions?
Well, I have one more, and then we need to wrap up because you actually have a call shortly. So I can't have you live here and live somewhere else at the same time.
All right.
And that was, how much is the tiered commission? So basically, if you refer anyone into our system, or pardon me, not into our system, if you refer anybody into WildFit and they end up going through and purchasing WildFit, you get a 30% commission on it. Even if you don't coach them, that is your commission, which is the highest we pay to anybody. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's an instant source of revenue as a coach. From the minute you're in, you can actually be promoting immediately and generating income for yourself.
And just a couple other things, Eric. We popped a group link into the chat that's for people to join a private Facebook group, and we can answer some questions in there for people and kind of keep the conversation going.
Absolutely. In fact, if you guys want to collect any of the questions we didn't get at and send them to me, I'll see if I can dump a Facebook Live in and answer any other questions. Equally, maybe start a thread in the Facebook group asking for any other questions people have that either the team or I can get to. We'll do that.
Yeah,
for now, guys, I want to say thank you so much for being here. It is just an honor and a privilege to be able to share WildFit with people around the world. And it's an honor and privilege to be able to share these core things about WildFit that make it so successful that you can take them out into your world, whether you do it as part of our team or on your own. I want to make sure that the food revolution is underway in a really powerful way, and I'm hoping you'll join us and really help us to achieve our mission. We are truly aiming to improve the health and quality of life of 1 billion people on this planet. And there's so many different things we need to do to influence that. But I'll tell you, the single biggest area of influence is to change people. When we change people, we're going to change their buying patterns. And when we change their buying patterns, we're going to change the manufacturers. And so the food revolution is underway. Welcome to it. Thank you guys so much for your attention, for your questions, for your participation. I look forward to seeing you in the coaching certification. Get your application in right now. Do it. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.